she said, "What do ISIS want, Douglas?" And I thought, oh, okay. Well,
they're actually quite upfront about it generally.
yeah, they're quite. They've done a lot of speaking about this and a lot of writing, and they basically want to bring about they invite the world to Islam and bring about the end times. And this woman looked at me and she said, like, she actually said, well, that's ridiculous. I mean,
what's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. My name is Ellery, and today I'm back with a video and check out with you guys. This is called "What Does Hamas Really Want?" Emphasis on the really. This is a talk by Douglas Murray and Maajid Nawaz, live on stage. You know how it goes, guys. We talk less and we react more. Let's check this out.
The loss of meaning in the West and the loss of a spine amongst Western intellectuals, the loss of a sense that there is something worthy of defending is one of the themes that you come back to a lot.
Sure. I just say at the beginning, I mean, I could go through every one of the things that Maajid just listed in that and shoot them down, but that would take a little while. Let me just make one observation about the list, which is the enormous risk that often happens of people absorbing the arguments of opponents who do not wish you well. So, for instance, on interventionism, you never hear, in fact, I've said this to Maajid before, but I've never heard anyone from the Islamic world say, thank God for NATO. Yeah. But they should.
But by the way, I'd spend the rest of my book debunking these, just for everyone's, you know.
But I mean, they shouldn't. The reason I mention this is for the selective historical reasons which we in the West are at risk of imbibing. For instance, I say, why does nobody say thank God for NATO? Because if NATO hadn't have intervened in Kosovo, I think it's widely agreed that a severe genocide would have occurred on the continent of Europe, worse than was already happening. NATO intervened. We don't expect thank yous endlessly, but once will be something. And
thank you, Douglas.
So I have. It's not enough. But this is just worth remembering, because a generation and a lot of people from a generation are at risk of imbibing basically the jihadists' arguments about us. And I just put that out there at the beginning. The second thing I'd just say quickly is, I mean, the fascinating thing now about looking at back, for instance, intervention in Afghanistan, is that, you know, it's one of the great fallacies of history which we're always vulnerable to, which is to think that everyone knew in the past what we know now. And, you know, until the 1980s, the major threat to countries like ours was global communism, the Soviet expansionism. We saw it as a major threat. And anyone who doubts that just has to say that, I mean, if up until, I've often thought of this, until as late as basically the 10th of September 2001, if you said, in the early years of the 21st century, politicians, journalists, public intellectuals and others are going to spend years talking about Islam. Say, what? Why? How come? It's not that interesting. It's not that vital in our societies. It's a bit of our societies. It's not overwhelming. If you said, okay, you're going to be discussing Islamic blasphemy laws all across Scandinavia for years. Why?
And the jurisprudence of face veils.
Yeah, and like you're going to be the major debate in the UK in August 2018 is going to be the burqa. How does that happen? I don't see I don't see the way.
That is a bit surreal, isn't it?
So here's the deep underlying thing, which is that religion's back. And most people in the West don't know how to talk about it or think about it. And I've just got this endless concern about this matter, because I've had this conversation, as I think a lot of other people here have, for years with politicians and others, and they still don't understand the nature of this. And I just give you one example quickly. A little while ago, I was speaking to a TV producer who came over to me at a party somewhere and said, it was at the height of ISIS. And she said, what do ISIS want, Douglas? And I thought, oh, okay. Well,
They're actually quite upfront about it generally.
yeah, they're quite. They've done a lot of speaking about this and a lot of writing, and they basically want to bring about the end. They invite the world to Islam and bring about the end times. And this woman looked at me and she said, like, she said, well, that's ridiculous. I mean, they can't. I said, what do they really want? And I said, well, they say that they want to invite the world to Islam, or their version of Islam, and then bring about the end of times. And she just looked at me like, I don't see that. I don't. So, and then I realized, well, if I just said to her, basically what ISIS are after is like a 2.5% reduction in VAT, she'd have been all over it. Oh, yeah. Would they settle for 1.2? You know, we'd have been able to talk about it.
It is a bit high, isn't it?
Let's find some compromise. But she had no idea. And that for me, in a nutshell, is one of the things, one of the many things we're walking through at the moment is the inability of people in societies like ours to realize that some of our opponents believe that they have the explanation for everything, the justification for everything, the meaning of everything, now, yesterday, tomorrow, and to the ends of time and eternity. And we say,
Come again?
come again? At the very least, we have to educate ourselves about this. But this is, I don't want to...
Yeah, they're idle.
But
This last part cracked me up a bit. Part of what the ISIS really want. And then having seen the reason, the woman was like, what? And he said maybe if he had told her about value-added tax, that they wanted 2.5 reduction in value-added tax, then maybe they could have actually sat down to talk about it. But then the other reason seemed practically irrational to them both. It didn't really serve as something to talk about, which is funny. I mean, Douglas does have a point when they say that due to constructive views and opinions, people don't really know how to think or express themselves concerning the topic of religions in the West. I mean, there's lots of fear and nervousness when it comes to that particular topic. Everyone tries to shy away from it for fear of the unknown. And that's the truth. And he did say that at some point, if they had told him this is what we'll be discussing about, that he wouldn't have believed it. But then here we are today. It's all over the news. It's something we talk about on the daily. And it's something that we'll keep talking about for a very long time. Anyway, guys, that's what you guys do in the comment section. And leave a thumbs up at the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.